Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Education Quest Live. I am Jason, and this month we have Abby with us. Abby is a high school senior, and we're going to talk to her. She's going to give us some advice and stuff, and we're going to just talk about the ACT and what her experience was and any tips that she has for those of you who might be anticipating taking the test soon. As always, with all of our live broadcasts, we are on YouTube and Facebook. And so you can find us there. You can ask questions and comments and stuff over on the left and the right, or down below, depending on what device you're on. And we have people monitoring those comment feeds, so they will get those questions to me, and I will get those to Abby, and then you will get answers to them. So until then, we'll start with some of the basics. Why don't you kind of just give us an overview of where you go to school and kind of your background?
Yeah, so I go to Millard West. And I do a variety of things there. I do show choir, drama, all kinds of things. Next year I plan on going to Missouri Science and Technology, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, we were talking before kind of about your plans for college and life after and major and things like that, and you've got some pretty cool stuff going on. So
hopefully
exciting.
Chemical engineering.
Yeah. So, stuff to look forward to. Now, obviously, we're talking about the ACT, and you've taken the ACT. Do you mind sharing with us what your score was?
Yes, I got a 33.
That's awesome. That's a very good score. So, preparing for the test, I think we just wrote a blog, and we'll link to the blog in the description so you can read it. But we talk a little bit about the difference between kind of your normal tests and classes and stuff and the ACT. So, do you mind kind of telling us just a little bit about what you did to prepare for the ACT?
Yeah, so my mom actually bought me one of the prep books.
Okay.
So I found that very helpful in, I found the places that I wasn't sure about, or like I didn't know how the science section worked. So I would go through that book and do practice.
Practice questions?
Yes, practice tests.
Awesome. Did you take the exam just once, or did you retake it?
I took it twice.
Twice, okay.
Yes.
And did increase the score?
Got exact
Stay the same. Well, when you get to that level, that's not uncommon. So, so you said you got one of the booklets and stuff. Did you take any of the like test prep classes, or did they have study sessions or anything at school?
Yeah. So our school had John Baylor prep courses. Okay. So we got to watch those in some of our classes, and those were very helpful in showing like little tips of if you're not exactly sure what the answer to a question is, you can get a pretty educated guess based on what he tells you. But I think it was definitely the most important thing is to practice the exam.
Yeah.
Yes, at least once.
Yeah, there's no substitute for knowing the answer.
Exactly.
No matter how many tricks you can figure out. So juniors in the state of Nebraska, juniors are now, it's a statewide testing day, so they're all going to take it here. And for a lot of them, this is kind of big deal, right? Like it's the first go around. It's a huge test. It's a long test. What was the test like? You know, can you kind of walk me through the day so that they know what to expect?
So I woke up in the morning and ate breakfast.
Good breakfast?
Important.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you're gonna get hungry if you're just sitting there for 4 hours. Yeah. But I got to the school and had to get in line, show my ID, and they assigned me my room. You walk in. You have to leave all of your supplies that aren't like pencil, calculator, that kind of stuff at the front of the room, and you just kind of sit and wait until everyone else gets there. As soon as everyone gets there, they'll start, and it's boring at the beginning because they'll just tell you all of the rules that you probably already know.
Right.
But after that, then you're just going. And they'll give you the 10-minute warning or something like that, so you know about what time you're at.
So it's a 4-hour test, but it's broken up into sections, and each section has its own time limit. Most of them are about 35, 40 minutes. And then what were you allowed to have? You mentioned your stuff had to be
Yeah.
kind of up at the front.
So with me, I had a jacket, and because I'm prone to being cold.
Yeah.
But a calculator that I knew how to use, a couple pencils, an eraser, and my water bottle underneath my chair
Okay.
was all I had on me.
Yeah, they kind of keep it so that you don't have a whole lot there.
Yes.
And the calculator, you brought that up. I think that's something that we usually get questions about. You're allowed to have a calculator, but it is a pretty good tip to have one, as you mentioned, that you know how to use.
Oh, for sure.
You don't want it to be the first experience with one, right?
Yeah, you should definitely practice going through the functions on your calculator before you get to the test, because if you don't have that much time.
Right.
So if you waste time trying to figure out how to cube root something, then you're just, you know how to do it, obviously. You just need your calculator to spit out an answer.
Yeah, so picking up that speed, it just saves you time to spend on when you actually don't know the answer and you have to figure it out. What were there any other tips that you had or anything else that you did to kind of manage your time in those different sections? Because most of the students I know feel a little rushed, especially towards the end, because they just don't have that awareness.
In regards to the math section, definitely if you see one that you know how to do, focus on that and then keep going. Don't get stuck and struggle on one that you don't know the answer to. I think that's very helpful in gaining points, is just keep going. If you don't know an answer, skip it, come back.
Right.
Get what you can. Reading section, I tended to skim and then get as many questions as I could answered and then go back and spot check for the more in-depth answers. Science is a tricky one.
Okay.
You definitely go in with the same mindset as the reading section and then look at the graphs first.
Okay.
For sure. If you can get all of the questions just based on reading the graphs, that's a lot of points you picked up just by looking at the graphs and reading off the numbers and answering those questions first.
Okay.
And then English section, I always go with my gut feeling. For sure. If you read through it and you think, wow, that sounds like the right answer, it probably is.
Okay.
Definitely go with your gut. Don't get stuck and keep reading it over and over and over again. You'll get confused.
And then did you do the essay?
I did do the essay. Start with an outline.
Yeah.
For sure. Because you're not going to get any of those outline points if you don't know where you're going from the beginning.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of those things you just need to practice like in your English classes. You could probably ask your English teacher if they have any prompts for you to go off of. They can give you feedback before you even take the ACT, which I think is very helpful. Teachers are very helpful resources.
The other thing that's really cool about the essay is that actstudent.org has past essay questions on the website. So you can go in and actually see, like, this is a real question that they asked 3-4 years ago or something like that. So that's a good resource for students. Was there a part of the exam that caused you a little bit more trouble? I mean, you kind of sounded like the science was pretty difficult.
Yeah, I always think science is more difficult because it kind of combines the math skills and the reading skills. And it's formatted differently. So I think science is one of those that you really just have to practice the exam portion of science if you can in one of those booklets, because after you get the hang of it, then it'll be easier to interpret things. But
yeah, and talking to you beforehand and you know what you mentioned about your career goals and things like that, you're someone who has some aptitude for science. So even for someone who knows what you would at least anticipate knows what they're doing, that's still, for me it was the math. Like, and I think for me it was the stress of I know this.
Oh yeah.
And so I didn't want a low score on the math section because it's like I should know this. I should be good at this. And so that anxiety, I think, the first time I took them was a lot to kind of overcome.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful too, is to go in relaxed, know you can take it again. It's not a end-all be-all thing.
Right.
So if you go in calm, you're definitely going to be more efficient, for sure.
Yeah, and do what you can to, listening to this and then hearing some experience from someone like you that's recently been through it, doing the test preps, seeing the books, checking out the websites. That's all stuff that you can do to kind of get familiar with the exam and what to anticipate and what to expect from it. Just helps a little bit, and then, you take it the first time and just kind of go in with this mindset of see where I am, right? And so the second time around, did you change anything up? Did you study more? Did you focus on, because it does give you the scores of like individual section, right?
Yes. So the first time, my math and science scores were a lot lower than my reading and English scores.
Okay.
So for me, I went in the second time. It was during the school year, so I think that helped with my math score a lot. Just getting everything fresh in my mind. I talked to one of my math teachers and asked them if they could give me a little like review of like algebra stuff, because there's a lot of that on there that high school level people, like some people learn that in middle school.
Right.
So basically review the basics of math helped me a lot.
Yeah, someone I was just talking to said that what they struggled with the most was the English section, and it was because they haven't dealt with adverbs and verbs and things like that since middle school.
Yeah.
Like that's when we learned it, and then it's just you expect to know it in high school, and so here comes junior year, and he's like, I don't remember that.
Because you should know.
Right.
But it's been a long time.
His comment to me was, I feel stupid, but I had to Google adverb again. Thanks, Google.
Talking to your teachers definitely helps with that, because English teachers have those little like grammar cheat sheets that you can look over the night before or look over a couple of weeks before, just to get it back in your mind, so that when they do ask what's an adverb, then you're like, oh, I remember.
Is this an adverb? I don't remember what an adverb is. So, so you did that. You kind of focused on that area that kind of, you saw a little bit of a decrease in. Did that raise your score in those areas then?
Mm-hmm. My math score jumped 4 points.
Okay.
The second time I took it. Science score was about the same.
Okay.
And then reading and English were about the same. But it definitely helps looking over your basic math things. Yeah.
So did you have a teacher or a counselor or someone that was kind of a point person at your school for ACT studying, or was it something that you just kind of got help from any teacher that you had a relationship with?
Yeah, I got help from a couple of different teachers, because I knew there were people that wanted me to succeed. But we did have a counselor available for us that we could go in and talk to if we didn't know what strategies to use to study. And I think that was nice. A couple of my friends went in to talk to them.
Yeah.
I think it helped them a lot.
Yeah. And so we've mentioned that with a lot of things with, planning for college and financial aid and things. Like, don't be afraid to ask who here can help me with this. And, most of those educators, that's what they love to do. So they'll be happy to come help you out.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah. Might as well use it, right? So ACT scores, I think most people know them as an admissions kind of thing. Helps you get into different schools, especially highly selective schools you need high scores for. But what about scholarships? Did your ACT score help you at all with scholarships or ways to fund college?
Yes. So the schools I applied to were mostly math and science specialty schools. So they were very dependent on ACT scores for scholarships and all that kind of stuff. That's what they want to see. They want to see the people that can take a good test. But I do have a lot of friends that went to go to more like liberal arts schools for that kind of stuff, and they got more scholarships based off of the activities they did in school rather than their ACT score. So it definitely depends on what you want to go into.
Right. I guess last question. I mean, juniors coming up. This first time they're going to kind of experience it. Seniors have an opportunity to retake it here. Well, juniors, I guess seniors in the fall. Any advice for them? Any last minute tips or anything that you have?
I would say get a good night's sleep. I know you've heard that before, but like we mean it a lot.
It's not coming from the parent figure here. Like
yeah. It's hard to get through a reading section if you're tired.
Right.
Know your calculator. Bring a snack. They'll have it. You'll be able to take it during the breaks. And relax. Those are the biggest things.
De-stress.
Yes. Because no matter how much studying you do leading up to it, if you go in and you're already freaking out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just setting you up for failure. So, yeah, and like you mentioned before, I think the big tip is just to know, especially for the juniors taking it the first time, you have another opportunity. So that should help you just kind of calm down and relax, is that this isn't your one shot at this. You can try again and hopefully raise your score then. So, well, Abby, thanks so much for joining us today and providing your expertise and your insight into the test. I hope that all of you got some really good information out of that and are better prepared for the ACT, which you'll be taking, juniors at least, in the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions about that, make sure you check out educationquest.org. We have a bunch of study blogs and ACT-specific stuff to kind of help you kind of get through that. And if you have any questions or anything, we do monitor the comments on the videos afterwards, so feel free to go in there and put in your comments, and we will respond in kind. And we will see you next month on another edition of Education Quest Live. Have a good day.